All right, we're here with Francis Crossman, NAB 2022. Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine. We're here at the Adobe booth. We're going to talk a little bit about what's new for 2022. We'll do that next. So you guys made some cool announcements on multiple fronts.
Yeah.
The big one, of course, being the Frame.io integration into Premiere Pro. But you've done some major changes with Premiere Pro that add more functionality, easier. So why don't you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for coming and visiting us. It's really good to see you in person. I think that's been, one of the biggest things that has been making me really giddy at this show is just seeing people like, you're real. You're not,
I am real. No, I'm not a virtual.
On a computer screen like this.
No deep fakes here.
Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah. So good to see you. So we've got basically like three big things that I want to talk about in Premiere. And of course, you mentioned Frame.io.
Yeah.
So that's now built directly into Premiere and After Effects, and it's included in your Creative Cloud subscription. We're just super thrilled about this because, as you know, it's the best review and approval platform out there.
Yeah.
Beautiful UI. And, we're integrating the whole Frame.io team into the Adobe family. And we get to meet them for the first time here in person. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah, I talked to Mike Cioni yesterday, and he goes, it's so great because we can finally put names to faces, or faces to names. And it was just like, so you're saying the same thing.
Yeah. And people have feet, They have a body that's below the teeth.
And they're wearing pants,
Yeah. Well, hopefully. There's some other exciting stuff in Premiere that we released right before coming to the show.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the new import mode and new export mode in Premiere. Import mode is a beautiful full screen interface to visually get your clips into Premiere.
Okay.
And it's also the new way that you create projects. So this is just very visual, very intuitive. It's going to be easy for new users to pick up, but also adds a lot of value to pro users as well.
Okay.
Because you can do stuff like favorite locations, hard drive locations you need to get back to quite often.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're importing, you can import stuff into a new bin and sort of get a jump start on organization. You can get it directly onto a sequence, which is really handy for doing string outs.
Yeah.
So that you can just start editing right away very quickly. And it's just a really, really nice modern interface. We're very proud of it. And then on the export side, it's much the same. It's a full screen interface. And instead of really asking the user to worry about codecs and file formats, we're asking you, where's your stuff going?
Okay.
So if it's going to YouTube or Facebook, Twitter, Vimeo, toggle on that destination. We're going to ask you to log into your account, and then we can encode the file and then automatically upload it directly to that platform.
And then there's people like me that want to control everything, and you still have all those features to do that.
Of course. If you just want to render the file out to disk and then upload it yourself, you're totally free to do that. One thing I might mention, though, is that for YouTube, the default privacy settings is that it'll get to YouTube as private.
Yeah.
So you've got the chance to review it on the YouTube platform, do one last QC, and also control when it goes live.
Okay.
Because a lot of content creators schedule their stuff to go live at a certain time. You have the freedom to do that.
Okay.
And so we think that this is going to be a huge time savings. But as you mentioned, you still have the flexibility to do it any way you want.
Okay.
And same thing with import mode. If you don't like this new visual interface, we haven't taken away any of the previous ways of importing stuff. So if you want to drop stuff from the Finder, do file import, or the media browser, haven't gotten rid of any of that.
Okay.
This is added benefit. It's not replacing anything.
Well, for me, basically like an interview like this, it's basically I bring it in, I chop it up, I put a tip and tail on it, and then I send it out. So something like the media browser is not going to work. But I've been thinking about with B-roll. So I've been doing a lot of B-roll in here to do different transitions and things like that. So a media pool like that is perfect because then I can say, we're in the North Hall, I want to use the North Hall B-roll. And then use that clip just to bring it into the video.
Yeah, and if you store all that stuff in a common folder, you could favorite that and then get back to it very quickly.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's very cool. We're very proud of it.
So you also have a new coloring system in there. Talk about that.
This is very cool. So it's called Auto Color, and it's powered by Adobe Sensei, which is our machine learning, artificial intelligence platform.
Okay.
And Sensei is really about automating tedious work, but leaving you in creative control.
Okay.
So what AutoColor does is it analyzes the light and color of a clip and then dials in a nice adjustment, sort of a basic grade, and it just adjusts the parameters in the basic settings of Lumetri.
Okay.
So like white balance, contrast, saturation, exposure, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it just changes the sliders. So you can see exactly what it did. And if you think that you could improve it a little bit by tweaking any of those, you're free to do so. We also have an intensity slider. So if you like the general thing that it did, but you think you want to pump it up to 11, you can do that, or dial it back a little bit, very cool.
So yeah, it's great. Of course, I'm not a color grader, so it's great to my eyes. So
yeah, totally. And that's exactly what we built this for.
Okay.
It's a great way for folks who they want to do color, but they might be intimidated or not quite sure where to start. You can hit this auto button. It's going to get you to a really nice place, but also you can see what it did.
Yeah.
So you can start to kind of learn, maybe you could do that yourself from scratch if you want to, but why would you do it from scratch if Sensei can help you out so much?
Absolutely. But you also have learning tutorials in these programs that you can sit there and learn a little bit about why that's coloring that way, right?
Oh, totally. So you can open up the Learn workspace, and then that's going to have a little strip on the left with all sorts of tutorials that you can download, and it'll take you through in-app tutorials of how to do all sorts of stuff.
Okay, perfect. So great if you're really learning how to color, wanting color and stuff like that. That's awesome. Any other new features that you want to talk about in Premiere?
There is one other Sensei-based feature, which is our speech-to-text. Not new in this release, but what we did add is support for Cantonese speech-to-text transcription. So we now support 14 languages natively. And if you've used our speech-to-text before, you might notice that it used to transcribe in the cloud, meaning that we would have to render out the audio, send it up to a service, and then you get the transcription back.
Okay.
We're no longer doing that. It's processing it directly on your machine, which has a lot of benefits. For one, it's faster, but for folks who have security concerns, this just takes that completely out of the question.
Okay.
It's always been super ridiculously secure. But there's people who they're like, I can't put my stuff in the cloud.
Yeah.
And
or we're here at a conference where the internet connection is really not as verbose as we have.
that is perfect example, because like the conference Wi-Fi here is really terrible.
The Wi-Fi in my hotel room is really awful too. So this is all in the current version of Adobe Premiere Pro.
22.3, it's already been released. It's available now. Just go to your Creative Cloud desktop app and update.
That's what I like about it, is I can roll back to the previous version if I have a problem. If you got betas going on, I can check out the betas and move back and forth super easy on that.
I'm really glad you mentioned the beta, because we employ that to really make sure that the quality of our products are top notch, and we get a lot of feedback from public beta. And in the import and export mode, we had that in public beta for quite a long time.
Yeah,
almost a year actually.
Okay.
The reason we did that is it's such a big change. We wanted to tread lightly and make sure that we were meeting the needs of our customers.
Okay.
And so based on a lot of feedback, we made some changes and added some features. And it was really beneficial for us, and of course, at the end of the day, for our customers.
Okay. Now, there are some other additions to some of the other products. We won't get into that too much, but the one thing I did want to ask about the Frame.io is, if you have like After Effects open, you still have the same Frame.io connection and things like that. Whether a program, is that going to be also an Audition or Photoshop or anything like that?
I can't really talk about future plans, but right now, Premiere and After Effects have it built in.
Are the only two? Okay.
Yeah, and that's correct. And you can have it open, like the Frame.io panel, open in both apps, and in fact, send stuff back and forth between Premiere and After Effects through Frame.io if you want.
Okay.
You could upload it from Premiere to Frame and then download it into After Effects.
Or download it to, or send it to somebody else. If you were doing After Effects, I was doing the Premiere Pro, then we can collaborate back and forth.
Yeah. And I am a Premiere guy, but I can say one thing about After Effects, which is that they're native on Apple M1 now, and it's so much faster. I actually had to use After Effects to do some content-aware fill on something I was working on for like a featurette video kind of thing. And it was a situation where in the past, I might have just let that error slide because I wouldn't have been able to fix it. But with the M1 support and multi-frame rendering and speculative preview in After Effects, to me, it felt like a whole new app.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was so fast that meant that I could actually content-aware fill out this problem that was in like 30 different shots in my timeline. And with dynamic link from Premiere over to After Effects, I was able to take care of it really fast.
Wow.
So big kudos to the After Effects team for all the work they've been doing.
I'll tell you, back in my hotel room, I have an M1 Mini that has all my Adobe products on it. And then I have my MacBook Pro that all I do, and I have a router in the middle that basically just remote desktops into that M1 Mini. I transfer all my files. I do all my encoding there. I do all my processing there. And then if I need the laptop for something else, I can just kind of disconnect the remote and then use it that way. So it's it. And I've seen other people take like iPads and use programs that will create a screen experience and turn that into technically a laptop with a touch screen to it.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy world we live in now, with all the access to technology. And, kudos to Apple for designing this fantastic hardware, because these M1 chips, our software is just flying.
That's
Premiere
good.
and After Effects, Audition, the whole Adobe suite of video and audio programs are all completely M1 native now. In addition to Photoshop and Illustrator, and I'm sure a bunch that I can't remember. But anything that's been ported to M1 is just absolutely screaming fast.
Yeah. And not only M1 when it comes to the desktop, but I have some of the apps on the iPad M1, and they do great jobs too. So
fantastic work over at Apple,
like Rush and Photoshop. So all right, well, Adobe.com for all the information. Correct?
Yep.
All right. Cool. Thank you very much, Francis, for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
All right, there you go. We got Francis Crossman here, NAB 2022, Jeffrey Powers with Geekazine, youtube.com/Geekazine. Go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, hit that bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. We got a lot more videos, so stay tuned. Until next time, you guys geek out and create your videos.